When we last spoke, you used this analogy of a house to describe the importance of people within a hierarchy and an organization. You talked about how, like a house, organizations have roofs, they have big open spaces, and then at the very bottom, holding up that house, they have a foundation that no one ever sees. Talk a little bit about that and how you use that analogy to bring home the point about how certain people in the organization who are holding up the house might be invisible.
Right, absolutely. So it's so important because when you look at a house, I mean, you could see it as, a building, but a house has a purpose. And the purpose is for people to be able to live there, people to be able to cook there, sleep there. So it's very important for every single element to work properly. So you have your windows, you have your doors. But for me, whenever I'm looking at organizations and foundations and really wanting people to understand how valuable they are right where they are, when you look at the foundation, it's important to realize that if you were to just pour cement for a foundation for a house, for the most part, it's not going to work. You're going to need some support there, right? You're going to need to designate where that's going to go, be able to develop that support, but it's also going to have some visibility that's going to be needed throughout that time. So when you look at the foundation, think of that as your boots on the ground, people that you see when you're first coming into the organization, those faces that you see every single day. There's so many of them. And another reason why that is because for the foundation, we don't really think of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to the floor? No, there's really no question there. But at the same time, if there is a crack in the floor, then it becomes an issue. It becomes a problem. And then when you look at the roof, a lot of times people are saying, oh, wow, look at this roof. Oh, it's so pretty. Look at the shingles and whatnot. And you can see it on the outside. You can see it on the inside. You can see it from far away. You can see it from nearby. And it's very similar to an organizational structure where you could look at the CEO or a supervisor, depending on that structure there, where they could be representative of that roof. And then you have the other individuals, that the other part of that team that is representative of those positions where we may see it, but we may not necessarily give it all the attention that it deserves. But again, being able to have that support there, that connection is so very important. And also that visibility. And when it comes to organizations, we're talking about opportunities, we're talking about volunteering, we're talking about recognition, we're talking about appreciation, so many things that is going to provide the necessities needed for that foundation to ensure that you have a healthy house. Because as beautiful as a house can be, if that foundation isn't healthy, guess what's going to happen? It's probably going to fall. So just something to kind of keep in mind there.
Yeah, those are great points. I mean, as someone who's bought a house more than once, I know that sometimes a house can appear to be fantastic from the outside. Then you have those engineers who come in and start looking at it more carefully, and they discover all kinds of things that don't show up when you're just looking at shingles and a roof and beautiful windows. So point well taken. And the same thing can be said of organizations, where you can look at an organization and think like, wow, the CEO is a superstar, or this other person is great. That means the organization is fantastic. But there could be weaknesses at that foundational level as a result of neglect or a number of other things that haven't surfaced yet. But that house is now sitting on that shaky ground. So let's go back to the fear that we were talking about.